Alright, so I'm making this app as a way to show off the features of our prototype app, PreparePlate. I'm gonna go over the features that it has and what makes it different from other apps. So before we begin, I wanted to just have a short summary of what our app is before we get into the features. This app is a recipe app, and it basically recommends recipes and has a database of recipes that users can look at, and also users can post recipes. It's kind of like a social media app, but for recipes. So if you think about it like that, then you start thinking what this could be. To begin, when you boot up the app, you're going to start on the login screen. And if you don't have an account, you'll have to create an account. If you do have an account, you can just log in. So I'm going to log in right now with this account, and it's going to load the app, and it's going to bring us to the first page. And this is the feed page. So what is the feed page? The feed page, or the home menu, I guess you could call it that, is where users will load in when they, or the users, this is the first page users will see when they open the app, if they already signed in. So the page is split into two sections, a recommended feed and a discover feed. And we're going to go over, they're kind of similar, but there's two big differences. So the recommended feed here is going to use the locational data and the time data of your device to recommend recipes that it thinks you would like. It also uses posts that you've liked and that you've saved and that you've upvoted and whatnot. But we'll get into more into that in a minute. So the locational data is one of the biggest features of this app. This app uses it in a way of figuring out what produce might be common in your area, or what kind of country you live in could influence the type of genres of meals it gives you, or of recipes. So if you live in a place where corn is very popular during the summer, then in the summer months it would recommend recipes that might have corn as a core ingredient. If you live in an area where strawberries are common during the spring or something like that, it would start recommending recipes that have strawberries in it. So it uses the location and it uses the time of year to kind of influence certain results. It also uses your liked, your saved, your upvoted or downvoted. If you dislike a bunch of stuff that might be like Mexican food, like you don't like Mexican food that much, then it wouldn't recommend that as much. And maybe you upvote Italian food a lot. You like pizza, you like spaghetti. It would recommend those more often. So that's kind of how the recommended page works. Now the discover page doesn't use any of that information. The recommended page sort of just gives the users random recipes. This is for users who really don't know what they want, or maybe they want to find something new that they've never tried before. So it's just going to scour through all the posts that have been made on the app and give you recipes that are completely at random. So it's not going to have anything to do with what you like or what you hate or your location. It's all about just bunch of random recipes. It's a discover page. So that's what that is. Next, we're going to get into recipe cards. Alright, so the recipe card and recipes. So on both of the feed pages, you'll see they have a recipe card, and this is sort of a miniaturized version of the actual recipe. This is a easy, digestible way for users to get a short description of what a recipe is, and a bunch of core information. So as you can see at the top it has the name of the person who posted this. It also has in the middle here the name of the recipe. So this says grilled cheese sandwich. It also has an image of a grilled cheese sandwich, which can be the image that the user posted when they made the post, and is useful for the visually seeing what it's going to look like, as well as a description, which allows the users to read kind of the user's or the person who posted their interpretation of the recipe. You can also see it has the estimated calories, and it also has the estimated amount of time it's going to take to cook it. So that information plays a big role as well, especially when we get into the search features, which we'll get into shortly. Also at the bottom, you can see there's some icons. There's the like, saved, upvote, and downvote. The liked posts are, you can like posts, and you can also save posts. In upvote and downvote system, just means that more popular stuff is more likely to get recommended to a user, and less popular stuff is less likely to get recommended. If we if we tap on and the recipe card, it will take us to the main recipe page. So the main recipe page has the same information you've seen before. It has the image, the name, the person who posted it, the like, saved, upvote, downvote, the calories, the time, and the short description. But it also has more in-depth stuff, like the main thing, which is the ingredients in the recipe and the step-by-step. Now, in the future, there will be a feature where where the person who posted it can leave notes on the page. So, like, there might be an icon after one of these steps that might say something like, if you want it to be extra cheesy, use more slices of cheese. It kind of allows the person who posted it to give the user ideas on customizable ways to affect the recipe. Below all this is the comments, and the comments is another way for the person who posted this to communicate to people reading it, but it's also a way for the people reading it to leave their feedback. So the person who posted it here can leave comments talking about changes they've made or things they found out to make it even better. They can also leave comments on other recipes they have that would go well with this. And people who read this can also leave their suggestions. Hey, I was experimenting with this and found that if you did X, you would get a better result. They can also leave their feedback. Hey, this recipe was great. I want to see. I love this. You should do more of this or whatnot. Just whatever the user wants to leave there. It's a good way for the user to communicate with anyone else seeing this, as well as the person who posted this. So we're going to go back up here. And the next thing we're going to check out is the search feature. Alright, so we're going to check out the search page. So the search page allows users to search for recipes. It's kind of self-explanatory. The user can search, if they search grilled cheese, it'll pop up with all the recipes that are grilled cheese, and it just allows the user, if they know what they want but they don't know a recipe, to kind of look it up. But there is a special feature for searching called the Smart Search. So if we tap on this, it takes us to the Smart Search page. Now the Smart Search is a better way to do searching. Now, let me give a scenario here. Let's say you need to figure out something for dinner, but you don't know what recipe you want, and none of the stuff that you've looking on the recommended feed is really interesting you. You have a rough idea of some of the stuff that you're looking for in a recipe, but you don't know really what you want. The Smart Search can help fix that. If we start, the Smart Search will start asking questions. So, for instance, this first question asks, what kind of food category do you want? Do you want it to be sweet, spicy, or savory? So let's say you want a spicy meal. And you can go to the next question. And here in this one, you want to have it for lunch. And then you're answering this. Now let's say you're answering this, and you go, oh wait, never mind, I actually wanted it for dinner, I misclicked. You can click on another one, and you can click on any of these and select them, and the choices. Now, here, this question's asking how healthy you want it to be. It has a drop-down menu. But let's say the user doesn't see that and forgets to answer, and they try to go on. The app will warn the user that they have to select an answer before they can continue, and it won't continue until they do. So we're just going to go in and select something. Let's say we want this to be a really, really healthy, so a 9. Doesn't need to be perfectly healthy, but it needs to be very healthy. So they would answer that, and they would continue. And now the database is going to search, and it's going to find that grilled cheese is the most accurate to fitting what you wanted. So the user can now look at this and they can tap on it and they can read the recipe and they can like it and save it. But let's say what pops up, they don't really want that. Like, yeah, it fits the criteria, but it's not exactly what they want. But they want stuff that still fits that criteria. Well, they can hit the More button, and it would take them to a page. It's kind of like a search result page that would just have a list of similar recipes. And that would give them more recipes that are similar, that still fit the questions, but isn't the perfect answer like this. At any point during the Smart Search quiz, if the user hits the back button, before exiting it will give them a little warning, and it tells the user that if they leave, they'll lose all progress on the quiz. So if they're on the final answer and they hit that, they won't just be sent back with no warning. But we actually do want to exit because we want to go back, and I want to show you the final feature, which is the account page. So now we're going to go down here to the account page, and this is the final feature of our app, the final page. And the account page has some basic information like your account name, and you have your settings menu, and none of these work right now except for logout, which we'll see in a minute. But it also has a few other things that are pretty useful. It has areas to show your saved posts, your liked posts, and if you make any posts, it would show you what posts you made. Now, this user hasn't made any posts, but if they did, this is where they could see them, and then they could access them and make changes and edit them and leave comments and whatnot. So that's what that would be for. Now, the final feature is the search feature, and it's arguably one of the most important features. If we tap on it right now, you'll see that it doesn't exist because it's too complicated to make in a prototype. But in reality, this would be where the user could customize their recipe page. They could write their recipes, add their images, their titles. They could leave comments on, leave notes in there, and they type the recipe. They type their steps. They can have a list of tools you are going to need. This is where they can put how much time it takes. All that stuff that you saw on the recipe page is done here. So this is probably the most important feature, because without this, you wouldn't really have any recipes on the website, except for grilled cheese, which gets tiring after some time. So that is all the features that are included in our app. Now, last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to log out of the account, and that's the last feature, is you're able to log out. So this was the tech demo of PreparePlate, of our prototype app. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, but those were the features that we have so far, or the features that would be possible if this wasn't a prototype, and hopefully this gives more insight on what this app has to offer. So thank you for watching.